Hey everybody, Joe with Joe Knows Cryptos. Guys, I'm sorry it's been a couple of weeks since I've made a video. I've actually made 4 videos and tried to upload them and none of them would upload. So I hope stuff that I'm going to talk about today isn't. I don't even remember what I talked about in all the videos in my last video and there. So I may repeat some stuff and I apologize if I do. I'm just having technical difficulties with my phone and not having time to get on my laptop and do live streams. So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about cryptos. Let's talk about Litecoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, in one of my videos, I'm not sure if it's the last one that actually got posted or not, but I did mention I was changing up my strategy a bit and going to be going a little heavier into Bitcoin simply because it's the coin that everybody knows. It's the coin that's been around for 10 years. It's proven, as well as Litecoin, proven, stood the test of time, effective, does the job, is on all the platforms, on all the exchanges, as well as Ethereum. Same thing, although Ethereum isn't so much going to be used as cash as it's going to be used for its blockchain and people building on it. But Ethereum is another one. What I would try to do if I were you, and maybe you already have this, but my goal right now is to have, or what I think, and this is not financial advice, is to have 100 Litecoin, at least 1 Bitcoin, and at least 5 Ethereum. And I say this because I believe 100 Litecoin is great because I think Litecoin is going to be the one that really takes off and runs, and you're going to make the most money in that one. Ethereum, I believe 5 Ethereum is important because you'll be allowed to stake in a pool, so you'll get dividends, what's equivalent to dividends in the cryptocurrency market, if you have at least 5 Ethereum. I think if you have 32 or 35, something like that, you can actually have your own node and stake on your own. But if you have at least 5, you'll be able to pool, get in a pool with other people with Ethereum that have at least 5 and get a dividend that way. And then I think 1 Bitcoin, because I just thinking to myself, I don't own enough Bitcoin, and how stupid I would feel if Bitcoin went up to $1 million and all the other cryptocurrencies crap the bed, and I do all these videos and people say, hey, you must be so happy Bitcoin went up to $1 million. Wow, you did it, man. And I'll be like, well, I only had 1/10 of a Bitcoin, so I mean, yeah, I'm happy that it went up, but you know how pissed I would be if it went up to $1 million and I didn't own at least a half of a Bitcoin? Or, I mean, a whole would be great. So that's how I'm kind of positioning myself currently. I believe there may be a time when Bitcoin may start to, its dominance may drop again, and then the altcoins will have a run. But right now, Bitcoin is the one that everyone's paying attention to. And I think everybody should try to own at least a Bitcoin. That's my plan, at least a half of a Bitcoin. Before I was saying you should own at least 1/10 of a Bitcoin just for the cause. But now I think the cause is bigger than just, it's not just the cause, it's gonna be the one that just makes it. It's the crypto that's gonna make it. It's the best one. That and Litecoin, as far as people holding. Now, I also want to talk about creating our own destiny. And people always, not everybody, but a lot of people think that they can't make a change, they can't make a difference. I'm only one person. What can one person do? Well, one person can do a lot. Just speaking can do a lot. Just trying to get a message out there or talk to people can do more than you even know. Because when you speak to people, even though they may seem like they're not listening or not paying attention or not paying it much mind, it still has now entered their head. So, I like to just use examples like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. The mustard seed is the tiny seed, but grows into one of the biggest trees in the world. Everything has to start either with an idea, and then the idea has to be expressed and put out there. Otherwise, why even have ideas? Why even have thoughts? Why even have dreams if you're not going to express them? And this is how everything starts. Everything starts with one person's idea or one person's thought. Now, hey, maybe it's not a good thought, maybe it's not a good plan, maybe it's not a realistic dream, but you have to at least have a dream. And my dream is for a better future for my children and for the whole world, and hopefully even for myself, if there's time. But without dreams and without plans and without at least verbalizing it, at least one time to one person, the more people, the better. And get a reaction and see what the feedback is. Because without dreams and hopes and plans, we can't accomplish anything. And this is one thing that the elite, the globalists, are good at. They get together, they have meetings, they devise plans and strategies, not just for the next year or the next week, but for the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 30 years, the next 50 years, the next 100 years. They plan everything out on how they want to get to their goal, what steps they need to take, and then they put the plan into motion. And it frustrates me so much because I was listening to the radio today and they were talking about censorship on like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And, some of the people are actually defending that these companies have the right to deplatform and censor people on there. But the very first amendment in the Constitution is freedom of speech. So, what is it, only freedom of speech in the government? Is that what it's limited to? It should be freedom of speech for every single citizen of the United States, anytime, as long as they're not inciting violence, riots, or trying to use their speech to silence someone else's speech, or saying inappropriate speech as far as yelling fire in a crowded theater. But people should be allowed to speak and say whatever they want. And there's a lot of people that I don't want to hear what they have to say. And I do like to listen to different people's opinions, even though I know in my head I'm probably not going to be agreeing with them. But I at least like to understand where people are coming from and get their perspective. And then this way it helps me have a conversation with them as far as why our thoughts differ. And I can express my opinion on why I feel the way that I do. But if you don't allow people to have a platform to speak, then you're just taking you're really stunting the growth of the country. And it upsets me so much. If you don't like what somebody says, and if you don't want to listen to it, then you turn the station. You don't watch the video. You turn off the video. You give it a thumbs down. You don't retweet it. Whatever the case may be. And you can even block the person. If you personally want to do that, then that's up to you. But to have the platform itself do it, deny somebody access to speak on, it's almost like in England they have like a corner. It's like the corner where you can go and give your opinion, and you get your time to talk, and then people can come up and rebuttal. That's what social media is. It's your platform. It's your corner where you can go out and talk, except it's on the web where you can actually reach people. So that was very frustrating to me. If you don't like it, you turn it off, you block them, you don't retweet them. But to silence them altogether, to me, is a very, very dangerous thing. Because who knows what they're going to block next or censor next. Once they get away with censoring one thing, they're going to take it to the next extreme. And they may censor you next. And they may block you next. For anything, and you don't know what it could be. You may think it's cool now. Yeah, that guy, I don't agree with him. I'm glad he got blocked. But then, tomorrow they may decide that, anybody that has an American flag hung out in front of their house is going to be blocked. Or anybody who travels to a country that is, in their view, racist, you're going to be blocked. Or anybody that eats food that's not from their heritage, because stuff is getting so outrageous now, I can't even believe it. So if you eat Mexican food on Cinco de Mayo and you're not Mexican, maybe you'll get blocked for that. Who knows where it ends? That's the thing. Once it starts, it just keeps going until somebody finally says, no, enough. But by that point, it might be too late. Once you let people get away with things for too long, then they're making their reality. They're making their dream come true. Their dream is to oppress and stop you and block you and censor you. And when will it end? Where does it stop? If you don't believe that this world is made up of good and evil, God and Satan, guys, open your eyes, because right now what we've got going on is legalized murder. And by that, I'm not going to harp on these things, but I just want to bring it to everyone's attention that doesn't know about it. There's a handful of states now where you can kill the child after it's been born, post-birth abortion. So there comes a point when it's right to choose, right? Mother's right to choose, whether you agree with that or not. I'm not going to even get into that discussion. I'm talking about after the baby is born, it's no longer the mother's right to choose, because it's not her body anymore. It's a baby's body, and you're murdering the body post-birth. If you haven't heard about this, this is what the governor of Virginia has talked about. North Carolina, they've talked about. I think New Jersey. There's a handful of states now that are accepting this. I don't know if people just don't know about it, or people just don't care, or people don't think they can do anything about it. But the longer you let people get away with this stuff, the further it goes. Maybe it'll be a year-old infant in a few years, that you can abort. When is the abortion age going to be cut off? When are you not going to be considered a fetus anymore? You've got now in Washington, they're going to start using deceased humans as compost to fertilize fields. Have you heard about this? Look it up if you haven't. In Washington State. Sick stuff. This is how stuff like mad cow disease got started. They were feeding cows dead cows, and it made when cannibalism takes place, and even though it's not going to be direct cannibalism, it's going to affect people in a negative way. But that's how mad cow disease got started. They fed cows dead cows. This is how the bird flu gets started. They feed birds dead birds. Put it in their feed, grind it up, and feed it to them. And they get sick. And they get so sick that it causes brain damage to anybody that eats that cow that's infected, or that chicken or bird that's infected. Guys, all I'm saying is make your own reality. You're not a single. You may think you're just a single person in a small drop of water in a big world, in a big ocean, but you're not. You're important, and that's one of the main things they talk about in the book 1984, is trying to silence voices. The main character, they try to brainwash him and they torture him until he doesn't have his own thoughts, and he says that he has a voice, and as long as he has a voice, it can be heard and it can change minds. Guys, I'm getting at 15 minutes here. I've got to just wrap this up. So, guys, buy your Bitcoin, your Litecoin, your Ethereum. Kiss your wife, your girlfriend, hug your kids, pet your pets. Joe Knows Crypto signing off. God bless each and every one of you. Good night.